Let's focus on to this. The newly elected leadership of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal has announced that it will visit former President Jacob Zuma in Nkandla today to seek guidance and wisdom. Let's get more on this. We're joined by political analyst Professor Bheki Mngomezulu to get his view on this visit. Is there anything unusual really here that is happening?
Good morning, my sister, and good morning to your viewers. Nothing at all. You recall that when the regional conferences were held in KwaZulu-Natal, soon thereafter, the leadership of the different regions embarked on a trip to Nkandla to sit down with the former president for two reasons. One, to check how he was doing, but then secondly, to seek his advice as they assume the leadership positions. So now that we have the provincial leadership in place, there is nothing sinister about it for a number of reasons. One, former President Zuma is still a member of the ANC and is still also considered as one of the elders in the ANC. And by virtue of the fact that he is the former head of state, the new leadership in the province believes that they can learn something from him that will enable them to lead the province properly. So I think what they are doing is in fact in line. I recall that also recently there are people who visited the former President Thabo Mbeki, and there was no noise about it. So there shouldn't be any noise this time around as well.
And that's just it, right? So you have some sectors of society that believe, well, this will not bode well for the party's ambition for 2024.
In fact, from where I'm standing, the opposite should be true. The fact that the former head of state, Thabo Mbeki, has been visited by the newly elected leadership, and now former President Zuma is being visited by the current leadership, that should in fact augur well, because it means that members of the ANC and leaders of the ANC do respect their former leaders, and they do recognize the role that they've played in the organization. Because you cannot embark on a rebuilding agenda while at the same time excluding people who are knowledgeable about the organization. Because truth be told, some of the newly elected leaders are relatively young. So they will need all the support necessary for them to be able to execute their mandate in their current positions. So I think that for me, that is something positive, rather than them trying to talk to themselves and exclude the former elders of the organization, people who are in fact walking archives in as far as the history of the organization is concerned.
That intergenerational mix that you speak of, maybe let's highlight its importance in this particular case, maybe for instance.
No, it's very critical, my sister, because one of the points some of us have been making is that you cannot expect young leaders to be able to lead properly while excluding them from leadership positions. So that call is gradually being listened to, in the sense that you are now seeing a number of these youngsters being infused into leadership positions. That is something positive. But then at the same time, you cannot expect these young leaders to hold the bull by the horns all by themselves without leading them through the process and assisting them in terms of how to resolve some of the issues. Because your senior members of the organization have been around and they know how to resolve a number of issues that the ANC has faced in the past. So then they are most likely to impart that knowledge to their new leaders, and then the new leaders will come with their new innovations, but at the same time building on something that is already there. Because it's not as if they are starting from scratch, they are building on the legacy that has been left by their forebears.
Is there something to be said by some sectors of society that hold the view that, well, this could potentially mean that it's deepening divisions within the political party? You mentioned the visit to the former president, Thabo Mbeki, and he's come out to actually berate some of the inaction of the party. So does it fuel divisions, or is it democracy at play within the organization?
No, it's something to be applauded. The fact that you have people being allowed to air their views whenever they see something untoward happening in the organization is something they should be encouraged, in fact. You have heard former President Thabo Mbeki, as which I've just alluded to, but just recently I happened to share a podium with Mavuso Msimango, who has also been vocal on a number of issues without necessarily personalizing them, but looking at what the ANC is doing and then saying that if the ANC continues doing things in the manner it is doing, then that is a recipe for disaster. So you need all these different viewpoints so that whenever you take a position, you are well informed, and then you take a position that is going to take the organization forward. So I think that these different views are welcome, and what former President Thabo Mbeki said is welcome, but I will wait and see how society will react in the event that former President Zuma also makes similar statements. Are they going to welcome his comments in the same manner that they've welcomed the comments by former President Thabo Mbeki and also Dr. Mavuso Msimang? I'm not too sure. We'll wait and see when that happens.
Professor Bheki Mngomezulu, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Still to come.